My name is Ulifile Samuel Rabolele, but everyone calls me Sammy. And I am a co-founder of a company called Beyond the Eyes Network, and I really do a lot of the chief executive officer role, so I get to steward the business of Beyond the Eyes, and we're a media company in South Africa and help businesses tell their story to the world. But we also make movies and tell stories that way. So I make movies in that space, and really excited to see how we can influence the creative economy in South Africa, but also really take stories that wouldn't be necessarily told to a global audience. So we've done 2 so far, and we're hopefully going to have them licensed soon. We're busy in conversations about that, and we are hoping to make many more for years to come. So South Africa is the major landing point for most big global businesses because it's the biggest financial market, not size of people. 60 million people, and Nigeria is 200 million, but in terms of financial maturity of markets, South Africa is quite mature. So what inspired me was really the opportunity at hand with streamers coming on board in the early 2000s, the late 2010s. That time there was an opportunity at hand, because in South Africa you really couldn't own your own IP for the longest time. You would get commissioned by the existing companies, so it was very difficult to create content for the world. So you could make movies, but it was very, very difficult to own the IP. But streamers were going to allow that, because they were bringing an American type of business model onto the African continent. And that would then therefore allow us to initiate projects instead of just to commission projects, if that makes sense. So that was the first idea. But then the second is the creative community gets missed a lot by the gospel community, the church, because creatives, sort of like athletes, get left out of church setups, because the church's target market is not necessarily always creatives, and creatives' job is to help create content that help people rest. So when you rest, they're working. So just like athletes. And so we really wanted to make a big difference. And sadly, creatives, because they get left out, sometimes in their community looks a lot different to what normal communities look like. So people make judgments on them to say, oh, those guys, creatives are so extreme, they're so intense, which makes us really, they feel misunderstood. But the beauty of the gospel is that it understands everybody. It reaches into everybody's life and says, your biggest problem is sin, your biggest need is a savior, and he is there for you. So, and the other side of it is when creatives do get a hold of their calling and their faith, they generally make a massive impact. So we wanted to find ourselves at that fulcrum, if you would call it that. Yeah. So our goal is to build a sustainable model or business model that can actually create movies and films in not just South Africa, but on the continent, and really a studio model, a creative studio model that works for our market. Why we believe that's a very important goal is because if you can create a sustainable business model, you can create sustainable jobs for creatives, and that's an important thing to then bring flourishing for the human lives of creatives, if that makes sense. And then the quality of stories will also improve, and then the type of stories you can tell will improve from the African continent to the world. So building a sustainable model, we believe, is very redemptive, because it can change the lives of creatives on the ground. And then the stories will change that people consume, and then the benefits will be there for the world, as most of us have been shaped and changed by some movie or story at some point in our lives. So that's what drives us, is to create a model. But then also one of the things that God has brought to our way is a partnership with a community in South Africa called the Royal Bafokeng Nation, which was a mining town, is a mining city or mining town, but like all minerals underground, they don't stay there forever. So they have to convert at some point. And one of the offerings that we want them to bring is what would it look like if you actually use the creative economy as one of the anchors of the conversion. The benefit is in that space. There is in the mining space, there is already a big tourist area, so we were hoping at some point we could build studios and maybe even a theme park in the area. So take that model into the space, and then the studios, we can make movies there, and then a theme park in the area. Yeah. So that's sort of what's driving us at the moment. So in the short term, continue to grow our revenue, which has been growing year on year for a while now, and working alongside the businesses that we work to help them tell their stories. That has been a great joy for us because we've had the same businesses and they keep coming back, and business has grown a lot, word of mouth, so, and continue to grow that side, while the partnerships for the film studio and the film business grow. So what drives us in the short term is that in the more medium term is then begin to break ground on the studios and the theme park model to get that going, while we then begin to build a slate of movies that we are sort of working on. So our goal in the middle term is to make 3 movies a year. So 3 projects a year would be a great goal in the middle term, and then over the longer term, a real studio model that we can roll out of making as many projects as we can fit into a year, and then build those studios fully out and the theme park out that really tell these stories that we want to tell, that have a redemptive element to it, but create sustainable work for creatives in our economy. Our hope over the longer term that people would come to know who God has called them to be, you know, and experience the work that God calls them to, and somehow maybe begin to be redeemed as they become more of who God created them to be. You know, the image bearers mark on them, especially around work, which is an institution that God puts in place in the garden. So the more people work, the better. So the branches community is incredible. It's all over the world. That's the first thing. So it helps you lift up your head a little bit. You know, sometimes when you're dealing with anything, your problem is your problem. You know, like surely it's our only problem. But just having to see other people in way more different, challenging situations than you, and dare I say, way more difficult situations than us, really be faithful to make an effort to live out their calling is incredible. So that's a first massive play already, is as we see with branches like different entrepreneurs, different Christians, followers of Jesus, want to be faithful followers of Jesus where the God has called them. That's been an amazing thing. But then also the training, right? Like the training that we receive in branches is amazing. You know, the call, there's an important verse in Peter. It says, make every effort to confirm your calling. And branches really affords me to be faithful steward of my calling. So those 2 big things, I think. But then the last one, the mentorship, you know, the discipleship that I get has been incredible. So the accountability, the push that I get from my mentor, yeah, that's been quite something.